Good morning, my people. Good morning, my people. What is going on, everybody? I get these levels up a little bit. Get these levels up. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in. What is going on? Monday, January 20th, Martin Luther King Day. I think a lot of people got today off. Not Sliwa here. It's light right there. Get it where I need to get it. No day off today. Actually, very, very busy day today. Very, very busy day. We got a lot going on today. I mean, if anybody was watching what the hell was going on in sports over the last couple of days, we got a lot of topics to hit on. So I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Thank you for being here. Please subscribe to the channel if you've yet to subscribe to the channel. Monday through Friday right here at 8 a.m. doing the Sliwa Show. Still doing, obviously, the post-game content after every Lakers game. Was doing it last night from the Intuit Dome. Got a chance to see that new arena. So I appreciate you guys being here, being a part of the show. I got my cup of Joe. I got my cup of coffee. Hopefully you guys are drinking whatever the hell it is that gets you up in the morning. So thank you for hanging out. Quote of the day, quote of this morning here. It's never too late to be what you might have been. Ooh, I like that. It's never too late to be what you might have been. What are they trying to say there? Whatever your dreams and aspirations are, it's never too late. Start today. All right, start today. All right, good stuff right there. We got a lot to get into. Let me give everybody just a quick rundown of the show. Really, really busy weekend in sports. A lot of good Laker topics. They're just not fun topics. What I mean by that is I'm sure a lot of Laker fans right now feel a certain way about the team. Just a bad weekend for the Lakers. Brooklyn, what was it, a 1-point game? Barely beat the Brooklyn Nets. And then last night against the Clippers. So we got an NFL weekend. There's a lot of interesting baseball stuff that's going on. People definitely got an opinion on that. Tonight, you got the college football. College football finals coming up. The championship game between Ohio State and Notre Dame. So we got a lot getting into, and I'll get into all the details what we're going to be talking about. But first, let me just take a look at a couple of these comments here real quick. Good morning from Eastville, California. Thank you very much for tuning in. Good morning, Slee. Good morning, everybody. Morning, Slee. Let's go. See what else we got here. Only bankers and government people off. Okay. All right. Okay. Wasn't aware of that. I appreciate that. A lot of good mornings here. So good morning to everybody as well. All right. Let me give everyone a quick rundown. And Al, don't forget the inauguration as well. Everybody knows that if you want inauguration coverage, you come here. Like everybody knows, when it comes to inauguration coverage, right here, inauguration, Sliwa, they both go hand in hand. Full coverage of the inauguration. All right, let me give everybody a quick rundown here real quick. Lakers lost to the Clippers last night, and I don't know how much of the actual game that I want to talk about, but I do want to talk about just where the Lakers are. Ivica Zubac not being a Los Angeles Laker. I got a bone to pick with how the hell that trade even happened. We'll spend a little bit of time on that. I put up a question yesterday on Twitter. Twitter is this website that you can go on. It's also called X. And, you can kind of share your emotions and your feelings on there. I put up a simple question yesterday. Simple question, very simple question. What's the biggest problem with the Lakers right now? Might be the most comments that I've ever had in posting a question. Maybe not. I don't know. There's been other Laker moments, Laker times. I want to read some of those comments, and then I'll throw it out to Laker fans. What do you think? What do you think the biggest issue is right now? LeBron had a quote yesterday. In the moment, when I'm doing the post-game show right here on Hoops Talk, hanging out with my people here, talking some Lakers basketball, when I'm doing that, a lot of times I'm grabbing some of the stuff that Spectrum's putting on during the post-game interview. So JJ Redick's talking, whatever the case is. So I'm listening to JJ and we're doing this post-game. There was a quote that came from LeBron yesterday that the moment it came, I'm like, yeah, that's probably going to be talked about a lot tomorrow. Not just me, but just in general. That's going to hit national shows. That's going to hit local shows. That's going to hit everything that you can think of. So that's something that we'll get into as well. All right, let's keep going here. Another thing I want to get into is, some of the NFL games from yesterday. The Rams, man, how crazy is this? Rams had a chance to be hosting an NFC championship game. They were a couple plays away from doing that. We'll talk about that game against the Eagles. We'll look at some of the other playoff games that were going on. The Dodgers, just this absurd offseason continues. And just when you think it's going to stop, it doesn't. It's interesting with the Dodgers because if I just come on here and say that, they signed these players, it'd be lazy. If I came on here and just said, baseball's not fair, it would also be lazy. But I think there is a conversation somewhere in between of what is happening, what the Dodgers are doing, and kind of the sport of baseball as we look forward. Dylan Hernandez, by the way, is going to come on the show tomorrow, and we're going to talk a little bit more from a baseball perspective as well. I got the weekend recap, then we're going to get the hell out of here and try and enjoy the rest of our day. So thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. Cheers. Nice cup of coffee. Guys, I don't know about you guys. Love coffee. Just love coffee. All right, let's get the show started. Last night, Lakers played the Clippers. And I don't know if you guys remember on Friday, before the weekend started, I was talking about both games. And I'm like, I don't know how much I like that game against the Clippers. Here's what the Clippers do. They play hard. They're very well coached. And they play defense. And they got a guy that can go off on any given night. I'm talking about James Harden. Kawhi doesn't even – it's the first time I've really got a chance to watch Kawhi extended. And Kawhi he's not playing 30, 35 minutes. He's still on a minutes restriction. Basically, in the second half, you saw a lot less of him after he was cooking all the Lakers. Every time I saw Kawhi hit a shot, I looked. I'm like, is that Dorian Finney-Smith covering him again? I mean, listen, Kawhi is a great player, so that just kind of comes with the territory. But that game right out the gate, it's like, all right, I don't know how much I like this game against the Clippers for all the reasons that I just mentioned. It was never a game. Lakers got their asses kicked. Lakers very easily could have lost both games this weekend. The game against the Brooklyn Nets, we knew it happened. It was a 1-point win for the Lakers, a team that had just lost the game before to the Clippers by 59. It was D'Angelo Russell with a chance to win it. Takes a three. I don't know why he's taking a three in a 1-point game, but Lakers escaped. They got very lucky to beat the Brooklyn Nets. And then last night against the Clippers, it was never a game. I got a chance yesterday. I submitted a credential, and it's kind of funny. My role's different, right? I'm on YouTube now. I'm not working for ESPN anymore or ESPN LA or any of that stuff. So when I submit a credential, I'm always like, well, I don't know how this is going to go. So far, so good. So far, I've been able to, get to games that I'm trying to get to. And obviously, I'm doing it for a purpose and a reason. I got this show here. But I did get a credential, and I found out on Saturday. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to the game. So I kind of have the mindset of going. I'm like, okay, look, new arena. I know how Laker fans. I grew up with Lakers and Clippers games and everything else. It's always kind of a fun atmosphere. Whether you're going to the game or not, when it was a Clippers home game, it's like, all right, Laker fans are going to show out. So it's the first time Lakers and Clippers are playing at this new arena. It had a cool vibe to it going in. I had no idea where I was going. It's like, all right, how do you get in? Where do you park? Where's I had no idea what was going on. I'd never been to the arena before. Before you could sit down and really enjoy a beer or a cup of coffee or whatever the case is, whatever the hell that you were drinking last night, game was over. And by the time you got to halftime, you just felt like they're not coming back from 13 or 15 down. And the Lakers went through a stretch like they always do where they play shit basketball. And whether that's they can't get a stop or whether that's the issues that the Lakers have offensively, whether it's certain players that are not stepping up that maybe stepped up the night before, but you don't have confidence they're going to step up in this one, whether it's rebounding, whether it's turnovers, you pick. Every game, it's 3 or 4 things that are happening with the Lakers. And like I mentioned, by the time we got to halftime, the game was decided. And I just didn't have any confidence that the Lakers were going to come back from 15 down or something along those lines. And they did make a run last night. The problem is they made a run when they were down 26 points. I'm sitting, there's another member of the media sitting to my right. And I'm looking at him and I'm telling him, like, you know what's crazy? Is the Lakers just went on an 11-0 run and they're still down 15. You're not coming back from that. You're just not. 26 points. Come on. Biggest lead Lakers had was 2. We can get into all the certain issues for this specific game, but I don't really want to do that. What I do want to do is just point out the fact that this is another game that the Lakers take an L on. This is another team that's above 500 that we have to see that is superior to the Lakers. And I don't want to hear, well, was Anthony Davis there? No, AD was there. Dorian Finney-Smith, DFS was there. That's pretty much the team that you're going to have moving forward the rest of the year. Reeves was playing. Gabe Vincent was playing. Max Christie was playing. Dalton Knecht was playing. Rui was playing. There's really no excuse for the Lakers. And I think for me, I'm all good with losses coming. They come with sports. They come. If you're watching, if you got a team that you're rooting for, whatever, you got to get ready to take some L's. That happens. But it's just another game where you felt like they never really had an opportunity. And the Clippers got a chance to kind of dictate the game any way they wanted, the style of play, get stops when they needed to. And even when the Lakers kind of went on some runs in the fourth quarter, it's like, yeah, but, what does it really mean at the end of the day? So I put this question out, and I want to actually share this with you guys because I do think it's kind of interesting. I think it says something. I put this question out, and I'm going to read some of these off. And then you guys could also take a look at it and give me your opinion on it as well. I threw this question up on Twitter last night. Okay, so after the game ended, hey, who's this guy? Hey, how are you? I put out this question: what's the biggest problem with the Lakers right now? Okay, guys, I'm going to tell you something. First off, you got a lot of different answers, so I'm going to read some of them. But look how many comments on here. 279 comments of Laker fans. Oh, they're ready. They got something on their mind. They got something to say. Look at the different ones I got here, okay? LeBron's the problem. Defense, no effort. Everyone's standing around on offense with LeBron while LeBron gets his offensive stats. Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss. Lakers need to realize that the duo of AD at 5 and Bron at 4 haven't won anything. I don't know whose bright idea that was. Lakers switched that 5 years ago and nothing ever since. Let's keep going. This team is inconsistent. Rob Pelinka, competitive spirit, defense, the front office. A 40-year-old is their best player and they can't rebound. Everything, time to blow it up. No paint presence. Offense is shit. No paint presence. Jeannie Buss, Rob Pelinka. Go down the list. They lack enough guys who can play defense. Defensive rebounding, almost every game they lose. The reason why I'm trying to show you guys this, for a couple of reasons. Number one, that says a lot to me too. If you got that many people responding to a simple question, that means there's a huge amount of Laker fans right now that are all looking at this team and saying, what the hell are we watching on a night in, night out basis? You can pick and choose a lot of different problems. I'm always of the belief it starts at the top, always, in any business, if you got family issues, if you got whatever the case is, typically I always look at the top. Let's start at the top and let's kind of work our way down. And I think the Lakers are in this position right now where they're trying to compete. They're trying to take a model from a few years ago, and they're trying to make it work in today's NBA, probably a few years already past the expiration date. Okay. I think there's a few ways to look at it. If we're just talking purely business, the Lakers are good for business. So we know that. But the greatest owners had a great combination of, there's two things. I'm going to worry about the business, but the product on the court is also going to be phenomenal, and that will also be good for business. And the two will just kind of feed each other. Right now, I feel like the Lakers have, I don't know what the day-to-day business is, but I'm sure the Lakers are fine and they're thriving. They're doing their thing. LeBron is still box office, and they're still getting a lot of nationally televised games. But the product is not matching whatever that vision is. And that part's clear. And I think, I had put out a video, or not, Dan Wyke and I were talking on Friday, and we were basically saying, hey, is this a play-in team? And, I put out that video kind of separately on its own on Saturday just to kind of look at some of the comments. And it's probably 50-50. Some people think they're not a play-in team. Some people think they are. But I think here's the better question to ask. The better question to ask is, how far is this team from winning an NBA championship? That's the question that I'll ask. And only a few teams can answer that question and be honest with themselves. The few teams that could answer that question is, all right, we know it. Boston, you can ask that question and no one's going to laugh you out of the room. OKC, you might say, are they ready? Are they too young? Maybe you can say that. But they're also off to an amazing, obviously start of the season, and they're doing that without some key players, Chet Holmgren being one of them. Okay, let's kind of keep going. Is Houston a championship contender? Probably not, but you like their trajectory. Can Denver get back in the mix? Well, they won it 2 years ago. So would you be shocked? Can Dallas get back in the mix? Of course they can. They just need to be healthy. Cleveland, I'm not 100% sure. Let's see what this team does. I saw actually they might be in the hunt for a guy like Cam Johnson, exactly the type of player that they need, but they feel like they're going to be in the mix. Maybe the Knicks are going to be in the mix. You cannot have an honest conversation about the Los Angeles Lakers and say they are in the mix of competing for an NBA championship. You can't. Now you will get laughed out of the room. Now it's like, now you're being looked at. If I were to say that, there'd be a lot of people that would look at me and my channel and say, why am I following this guy? He's bullshitting me. I don't want that. I'd rather just be honest and obviously have an honest conversation about this team and where they are and everything else. But that's, I think, the bigger question right now. I'm going to read you guys. I'm going to play something for you guys because last night I mentioned that LeBron had this quote. You don't get quotes like this too often, but I think the quote was pointed directly at that front office. I think it's fair to say it was pointed directly at that front office. Listen to the audio is very low, so I'm going to do my best to try to. I'm going to do my best to try to. Let me see what I got here to play it for you guys so you guys can hear it. But let's see if we can hear it together. And if not, the quote is right there, so we'll just read it together. This is Dave McMenamin. I think the question was from Dan Weike. Dave McMenamin put up the video. The question is about the Lakers and the roster and everything else. I'll kind of rewind it a little bit. Take a quick listen here. LeBron's response.
A few years now. Yep. Are there ways it can be bigger internally?
Bigger or better?
Can you give yourself more margin? Are there things that you do sometimes to make it easier?
No,
just gonna be
that's not our team is constructed. We don't have it.
This is how our team is constructed. We don't have that much margin for error. Keep going here.
How can you guys navigate this sort of mental demands when you play post-pro basketball?
We don't have a choice. I mean, that's the way our team is constructed. We have to play close to perfect basketball. We know the game is never perfect. It's never going to.
Twice in a span of 20 seconds, he says that that's the way our team is constructed. I mean, I don't really – there really isn't a point to play the rest of it, but his quote, it's the way our team is constructed. We have to play close to perfect basketball to win. Okay. There are plenty of ways to dance. We all dance in any business that we're in, okay? Sometimes your boss asks you a certain question. Maybe you got to dance a little bit. Maybe, somebody asks you a question about your boss. Maybe you dance a little bit. Whatever the case is. It could be a relationship you're in. Sometimes maybe you got to dance when a tough question's coming up. LeBron didn't dance in that one. Are there ways that your team can get better, improve internally was part of the question. And the other question is, he says, no, we got to play near perfect basketball. That's the way our team was constructed. Don't tell me that is not a direct shot/point to Rob Pelinka saying, I don't know what you're expecting from this team. I don't know what you're expecting from this roster. But if the Lakers' ultimate goal with LeBron at this stage of his career, we already know all the challenges of having a player that you're depending on at age 40 at this stretch of his career. We already know all those challenges. We already know the inconsistencies of the roster. We already know this is the first year that J.J. Redick is coaching in the NBA. We know all that. All that stuff is known. LeBron James did not mix his words right there. I'm looking around here. No, I don't think this is going to get any better. This is the way the roster is constructed. Not, hey, well, we feel like when we're playing at our best, we could play with anybody. Not, guys, it was just a bad night. Let's just wash this one away. We know we're a better team. You've seen us versus other teams. We'll do this. We'll do that, whatever the case is. This is the way our team is constructed. How are we going to get any better? Trade deadline is coming up on February 6th. Do I think LeBron James is saying to himself, I got 2.5 weeks to convince that front office that this shit's not going to work? I got 2.5 weeks to try to convince them, and we could all see it on a night in, night out basis. I don't care about the picks that you have. I don't care what it's going to cost. Why am I here if we're not trying to compete for an NBA championship? What do we have to do to compete for an NBA championship? Again, listen, I think I said this probably about a month ago or so. It's a little laughable to say Lakers an NBA championship right now. It is. Like that. I can't say it with a straight face. Lakers, NBA championship. Those two don't go together. What goes with the Lakers is, are they a playing team? What goes with the Lakers is, can they be top 6? What goes with the Lakers is, do you start rebuilding? What goes with the Lakers is, what do you trade for to try to just kind of get yourself into the mix? Those are the better conversations. Those are the more honest conversations to have when we're talking about the Lakers. So I thought last night was not just about the Lakers losing to the Clippers. It was losing to another team that's got a record above 500, and it's another indication of just how far they are of really competing for an NBA championship. And Friday night's win against Brooklyn was another indication. I know AD didn't play. I know Dorian Finney-Smith didn't play. But stylistically for the Lakers, they got a lot of issues. They got a lot of problems. And can Rob Pelinka figure that out over the next 2 weeks? I have no idea. Do I got faith that we'll be sitting here by February 6th? I still think the Lakers got areas to improve in. I still think when Vando does come back, they will be better. I still think they can go out there and address by getting another big and kind of put them in the situation or position where now maybe Anthony Davis and his role can change a little bit. It goes back a little bit closer to what it was in 2020 when they had JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard, or when they had Marc Gasol, who was a part of this team as well. I think taking that similar of a model would help the Lakers. But damn, that is a direct quote at the front office. It's a direct quote at the front office. And, obviously there's probably a lot of frustration around this team right now. And I think there's also the realization of like, yeah, this is what the squad is. Guys, we know this. I can almost assure you any given night, I don't know what I'm going to get from Gabe, Max, Rui, Dalton. Go down the list of some of these other role players. I have no idea what they're going to. Maybe one day they'll have 10, 12, 14 points, and we're all going to take a step back and say, well, did you see Gabe Vincent's night? Or Rui's going to have a night where he has 18, and it's like, oh my gosh, look at the potential. But ultimately, at the end of the day, when he says they got to play perfect basketball, there's no such thing as perfect basketball on an 82-game stretch. You get really good basketball, a really good quarter, a really good half, but then the Lakers follow that up with a really bad quarter or a really bad half or a really bad game. All right, that's quite the rant there. You guys, listen, if I'm ever going too far in a rant, just cut me off. Just say, Slee, that's enough, bro. Okay. I'm going to read a couple of these here real quick. I got a couple supers I'll get into. We'll keep going. Today might be a long show, guys. Today we might have some overtime to work. Slee, I'm a diehard Dodger fan. This ain't fun. Embarrassment of riches. Kawhi, much better player than Lakers' best player. Okay. I'm not 100% sure if you're meaning there that the Dodger piece. I don't know if you're comparing the Dodgers to the Lakers, or you're just saying, hey, the Dodgers have 78 starting pitchers next year and are so far and above talent of the rest of Major League Baseball. I don't know which one you're talking about, but the Kawhi, much better player than Lakers' best player. You know what's crazy about Kawhi watching him yesterday? And JJ Redick said in the post-game show as well, that dude doesn't miss. He just doesn't miss. He gets to his spot. He pulls up. You could have a hand in his face. You could have nobody on. He just doesn't miss. It's just, it's like you ever seen sometimes they got those robots that are, I don't know if you guys have ever seen this. You go on YouTube, there's this like robot taking jumpers. And it's just all, it's like a math equation. It's like pop, pop, pop. That's kind of Kawhi Leonard right now. I will say this. It's good to see that man back and playing healthy. He's always a question mark. You have no idea how many minutes, how many games he's going to play. Will he be available in the postseason? I don't want to see Kawhi injured. Kawhi much better than Lakers' best player. All right, let me read a couple more here, and then I got to talk about one of the worst Laker trades that we've watched. JJ plays guys who are being showcased for trades mostly. Lakers will be better after February 6th. Guys are tight, more than focused. Rui or A got to sit. Rui or AR got to sit. They don't got players to sit. Like none of these guys, they don't have anybody coming in where you're saying to yourself, hey, you can go ahead and sit these guys because there's all these other great players that are coming. Northborough, I appreciate the super. Thank you for doing that. The one other thing that I'll say on this, they'll be better after February 6th. They have to make a move before February 6th. They got to make another one. And listen, I really think this. I thought the reason why they traded so early, they gave up just second round capital, was so they make another move before February 6th. I know some people say, well, just hold on to your assets. It's not going to change anyways. I'm not holding on to my assets. I already got LeBron and Anthony Davis on my team. If I'm going to hold on to my assets, then why don't I just start selling rather than buying? Why don't I just start trading then? No, I still think the Lakers got to make another move. I'm not trying to just kick another season down the drain, which they're probably already on that path anyways. Be honest, do the Lakers make the playoffs this year? Yeah, they make the playoffs. I don't know if you guys I was looking at the standings last night. I was looking at the Western Conference. There's a lot of question marks in the Western Conference. Listen, Memphis, solid team. Houston, solid team. OKC, solid team. Denver, solid team. Those are 4 solid teams. I'll put the Clippers in that category too. I say 5 solid teams in the West. Okay, Dallas is going to get healthy. They're going to get in. That's 6. Okay? After that, you tell me the teams that are standing out in the Western Conference after those top 6. Remember, we thought there's going to be such incredible depth in the Western Conference. That has not been the case. Do you got confidence in the Warriors? In the Suns? Sacramento's won 9 of 10. I don't know what the hell happens there. Maybe Sacramento's. But do I have this, oh my gosh, Sacramento's amazing? I don't have that feeling. All right, who else am I missing? San Antonio, I think, is 3-7 in their last 10 games. After those top 6, it's kind of a crapshoot, to be honest with you. So we'll see what happens there. All right, let's keep going here. Good morning, Sliwa. The defending MLB champion Los Angeles Dodgers have gone bonkers. They signed Tanner Scott. I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't seen anything. I refuse to admit anything. I also think that the Dodgers really need to clean up their act. I mean, that franchise has no direction. They have no idea where they're going. Did they even make any moves this offseason? I mean, I'm just shocked that Dodger fans aren't upset at their offseason. Shocked. I'm shocked that there are not more Dodger fans right now that are bitching and complaining about their team. Tommy, I appreciate the super. Easy Money, thank you for the super. Northborough AES. Good series TP, thank you. And one more for you as well. One that we do know, James, there's no D in LeBron. Yeah, LeBron's not playing D at his age. That's 100% true. All right, I'm going to get to some of your comments here in just a second, but I got some more points that I want to get to here real quick on the Lakers front. This is a good question. How many toilets? So here's what happened real quick on the toilet situation at Intuit Dome. And then I want to talk about one of the worst trades that I've ever seen in recent history for the Lakers. So I know you guys know me as this. I'm a respected journalist. When I show up at the arena, people just say, that is a journalist that I don't want to F with. I had a clipboard last night when I got to Intuit Dome, and I started on the outside perimeter. And I started just kind of tallying up and counting. All right, well, Bomber said that there's about 1,400 toilets. If I'm correct here, I think initially, when we first started talking about this, I think that was the original number was toilets. Okay. And immediately when I saw that, I was like, you know what? I think he's bullshitting us, right? I didn't believe it. So I went out there. And had to count for myself. So I started on the outer perimeter, and I got through the outer perimeter. I was at 367. And then I got inside. And once I got inside, I did the west half of the Intuit Dome. Then I was at around 988. And then I did the east side. I think my total number was 1,287. So right now, the question that I have for Steve Ballmer, who I did see yesterday, he walked right by me, and I wanted to say something, but I didn't.
3 times the NBA average number of toilets and girls. We do not want people waiting in line. We want them to get back to their damn toilets. 1,160 toilets.
1,160.
Toilets. 1,160 toilets.
Yeah, I counted them. I was at 1137. So he's about 23 short. And I did put, into the league office, I did complain about it. So we're gonna find out what's going on here. They could get fined. The Clippers could get fined, and if they get fined, is because I counted 23 short toilets, 23 total toilets that did not equal what Steve Ballmer said. I'm just saying, I don't know what kind of shady business Steve Ballmer is running, but there's a lot of questions that I have for that man. You do not go out and tell everybody you got 1,200 toilets, and then I counted 1137. I think I just keep throwing out different numbers. All right, let's keep going. We got the toilet situation figured out. 1127. I think that's what I got. I think that's what I had there. Arena's pretty nice, to tell you that much. That could be it too. Slee, you missed the VIP. I didn't miss them. No, I counted everything. I stand by my number. If I was in court right now, I stand by my number. All right, let me talk Clippers here for a quick second, and let's keep going here. Guys, let me give you the type of player that the Lakers can really use right now. Okay, just work with me here for a quick second. Okay, get your mind off the whole toilets thing. That's gone. The toilet conversation is over. All right, I need you guys to grow up, be a little bit more mature. Toilets gone. Player Lakers need, that's coming in. Let me tell you the type of player that the Lakers need. You know what the Lakers can really use right now? They can use a true big man down low to complement Anthony Davis. They can use a player that's basically a walking double-double every single game, who some would say is having arguably his best season so far in his career. Somebody that's been a starter for the past 3-4 years on another competitive team. Somebody that last night, if I looked at those stats right, had 21 points, 19 rebounds, and outplayed Anthony Davis. I don't know if you guys feel the same way about this the way I feel. But every single time I see Ivica Zubac, I just got all these trade scenarios going in. I think of Mike Muscala. I think of what the hell was Magic Johnson doing? Can somebody please help me understand just how bad of a trade that was? And that every time we play every time we play the Clippers, I look at Zubac, or maybe there's another game on and he's on TNT or whatever the case is. I'm looking at this guy and I'm like, that's exactly what the Lakers need. Here's what's going to happen before February 6th. I think the Lakers are going to make a move. I think there's a good chance they're going to go get another big. The big that they get is not going to be as good as Ivica Zubac. It's not going to be as dependable as Ivica Zubac. And they're going to have to go spend draft capital to go get that player. They had that player. I know a lot has happened since that trade. I completely understand it. But does somebody want to explain to me what the hell the Lakers were thinking when they made that trade? And last night, watching the Lakers and the Clippers, every time that guy grabbed an offensive rebound, which I think he had 8 offensive rebounds, every time he grabbed something off the glass, every time he had a block, he had 3 blocks last night as well. Every time he contested somebody around the basket, every time he got a bucket, he got a putback, whatever the case is, every time he did something, I just think I'm sitting there, I'm like, that's exactly what the Lakers need. And the Lakers actually drafted that player. That was their player. Just an absurd trade that is still haunting the Lakers today. And I know I'm not the first one to sit here and say that trade was not a good one, nor is that trade, that trade continues to haunt the Lakers. But I'm watching that game last night, and it's like they're so desperate for that type of player. The Lakers have kind of tried playing some of these Jackson Hayes, Anthony Davis. They're kind of trying a little bit bigger of a combination. And maybe this is going to be the model of what the Lakers try to go get out there in the trade market. But my God, was that a just awful trade for the Lakers that still haunts them to this day, that they're still going to have to go out and try to figure out and trade out draft capital in order to get a player that's not as good as that player. It was such a bad trade. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's look at a couple of these here. And listen, we could, it's going to happen. I mean, you're going to make bad trades, period. There's going to be bad trades. I was reading something last night. I was actually during the game, while the game was going on, I decided, I'm like, I need the details again. Give me all the details again of this trade, the trade that the Lakers made when they traded him away. And the article said one of the worst trades in Lakers history. And it starts going through. It's like, listen, it's not as bad as this trade when the Nets, I think, traded for, KG and Paul Pierce, and then the draft capital that they got basically drafted the Boston Celtics, Tatum and Brown. I know there are much worse trades and everything else, but I still don't understand what the hell the purpose of that trade was. I still have no idea what the point of that trade was. And here's the bigger problem. When it happened, there were a lot of people like clearly right out the gate, like, I think Lakers are going to regret that one. I think they are. And listen, I know people are putting here Magic, and I'm the one that went off on Magic as well. Magic's a winner, period. I mean, his freaking Commanders are in the NFC Championship game now. You're going to have L's with wins. That just comes with the territory. But you cannot tell me that you're not looking at that trade. And every time you see freaking Ivica Zubac, every time you see that player, you're saying to yourself, my God, that guy would have been a perfect fit for the Lakers. It's exactly what they need, and he's nowhere to be found. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments, and then we'll keep this thing moving. Alan, go down list of West top teams Reeves Rui starts for, please. Teams that he starts for, Reeves and Rui. Now, listen, I get it. There's in a perfect world, you got Austin Reeves as your coming off the bench as your sixth man. In a perfect world, who knows? Maybe when Vando does come back, Rui is going to come off the bench. I got no idea. Maybe Dorian Finney-Smith takes his spot. I don't disagree that the Lakers, talent-wise, I don't think anybody is questioning that. But it is the position that they're in. Let me get another one in these in. He'd have put Butler at point forward and put Ware and Bam at 5 and 4. Ware had 25 and 11. Twin bigs is the moves Lakers get with the damn program. With the dang program. Okay, Northborough, thank you for the super. Yeah, I watching Ware in that Lakers-Miami game. Who was it? I think it was Stu Lance. Could not stop complimenting that guy. Could not stop complimenting that guy. AD doesn't look healthy either. AD got outplayed yesterday by Ivica Zubac. Got outplayed. Go look at those numbers and then just watch the game. He got outplayed. If you told me Lakers were going to lose the battle between Anthony Davis and, obviously between AD and Ivica Zubac, you're not winning that game. That's exactly what happened. All right, let's switch gears here for a quick second. Let me see here. Did I get everybody? Sort of. Do the Lakers have the same roster by February 6th? They do not have the same roster by February 6th. You just can't. I mean, especially this quote that LeBron just threw out there too. You just can't. It's not LeBron was not mixing his words when he's talking about the construction of the roster. They don't have the same. And I don't think Pelinka's sitting back and saying, I think the roster's great. I don't think we have to make any moves. It's just going to be, what are they willing to give up in order to make the right move? Let me get another one here. John, thank you for the super. John Drake. There isn't one player worth a first, but stack a few players together. Use our first round picks like draft picks, Matisse, Williams, and Sharp. Trying to go after some of these, I think Blazer players is what I think you're referring to. Yeah, Robert Williams, that name's been associated with the Lakers for a while. There have been a lot of these, a lot of names that have been associated with a lot of bigs. I mean, I feel like Miles Turner's played for the Lakers. I feel like Jonas Valanciunas has played for the Lakers. So they've been throwing these names around for a while. Okay. I'm going to come back to some of these Laker comments. I'm going to come back to them. I mean, I'm already 40 in. I want to get to there's so many other stuff going on here. So let me jump back into some of these Laker comments. Let me grab this one real quick here. Slee, Lakers have changed players and coaches. Only constants have been LeBron and AD. Shouldn't we see the issues by now? Maybe it's them. Yeah, I think I can make an argument, too, that it was LeBron and AD that also got to the Western Conference Finals. I think it's a combination of you got to have the right role players. Let me give you an example. LeBron and AD won a chip together, but look how good all the other players were. Now, granted, it was 5 years ago. So let's stop pretending like it wasn't, a long time ago. That's a long time, especially for LeBron and what he was back then and what he is today. He was 35 back then. But look how good those role players were. I saw Danny Green. I saw him yesterday. He was in the media room. Not 100% sure what he's covering, or maybe he's just watching the game. I'm not 100% sure, but he was at the media room or in the media room. And you kind of look back at that team. They had Kuzma, they had KCP, they had Danny Green, they had JaVale McGee, they had Dwight Howard, they had Rajon Rondo. I mean, that team was stacked. They had J.R. Smith. I'm probably missing a couple of guys. I think Avery Bradley was on that team as well. They were stacked. You knew 3-4 guys were stepping up every single game. It didn't really matter which 3-4, but you knew 3-4 were going to step up. And you clearly don't have that now with the Lakers. I appreciate all the supers. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to get to some of the other comments as well. Oh, that's right. Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso. That team was just stacked. So they had a lot of players that were obviously contributing. I got to get to a couple other topics here. I'll come back to Lakers. Last night or yesterday during the day, we're watching the Rams and the Philadelphia Eagles. I got to be honest with you guys. I've said this before about the Rams. Just really, really well-run organization. Very impressed with them year in and year out. They seem to be in the mix. Look, that's a good example. Good example of there's certain teams right now you could look at in sports and you say that every single year they're in the mix. Doesn't guarantee that they're going to win a Super Bowl or a World Series or an NBA championship, but they're in the mix every single year. You have to talk about them. Or maybe there's years you're not talking about them and they find a way to be making noise. So crazy yesterday watching the Rams, who were one drive, a couple plays away from hosting the NFC Championship in LA at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, taking on the Commanders for a chance to go to the Super Bowl. It didn't work out that way, but, it's kind of funny. I'm not trying to make an excuse for the Rams. I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't. I do not have an NFL team that I root for, period. Point blank. I don't. Watching the game yesterday, and, halftime, you got a game. And I think if you're the Rams, you're saying to yourself, let's just keep this thing close. Put a little bit more pressure on the Eagles as the game goes on. Last time they played, Saquon rushed for 250 plus. They won 37-20. And by the time the fourth quarter game came, it was just like, okay, this game is over. They're in it at halftime. Third quarter, snow starts falling. I don't want to make excuses about the weather, but did it not feel like the game just completely started changing once that snow started falling and you can't really see? There were a couple games like this yesterday. You can't really see. I'm like, all right, where's the ball? I don't even know. Are they 30-yard line? Are they at the 50-yard line? I can't even tell. Where's the first down marker? Maybe that one's easier because they got the, they got the stripe going on the TV screen. 2 plays ended the Rams yesterday. It was Kyron Williams fumbling the ball. It was Matthew Stafford getting the strip sack, and Philly gets the ball back. Those 2 plays, and it felt like both teams got super conservative because of the weather, but those plays kind of allowed Philadelphia to get some momentum, to get a little bit of a cushion. And even with all that, the Rams come back down with about 4 minutes left to go in the game, score a touchdown, get a 3-and-out. Little things that you pay attention to with the Rams. Sean McVay. There wasn't 3 minutes left in the game in the fourth quarter in a playoff game, and McVay already used 2 of his timeouts. He's got all his timeouts available. The pressure they were putting on Jalen Hurts, kind of as best as it can. Saquon is the man, and give the offensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles a lot of credit. But, Barkley went off for another, I think it was 205 yards that he went off of. He went off for. But even with all that said, and the turnovers, and the fumbles, and the weather, the Rams had the ball with 2 and some change, plus the 2-minute warning, to drive down, not to try to force overtime, not for some kind of Hail Mary. No, they were trying to do something that Matthew Stafford has done basically his entire career with Puka, with Cooper Kupp, obviously with the weapons that they have. And they had a chance to not just tie the game, but win the game, obviously with the extra points, since Philly missed a couple extra points. I'm just watching. I'm like, no way this is about to happen. And as that game was going, I think they got to a 3rd and 2, and Stafford got sacked. Now it's 4th and 11. That was your ball game right there. The 3rd and 2, that sack to move them back to 4th and 11. If not for that play, Rams are moving. Probably on their plenty of time, probably on their way to figuring out a way to get in the end zone. It's another season for the Rams where it's like, I don't expect anything. They won the division. They in the playoff games that they played, they were impressive, just bounced Minnesota like it was nothing. And a team that I think it's the best team left, and I think it's Philly. Now, KC will say, what the hell are you talking about? Probably win another Super Bowl. But I just like the balance that Philly has on offense and defense. The perfect pedigree you want in the postseason, where what are the 2 things that you want if you're an NFL team? You want to be able to run the ball and play defense come playoff time. And that weather is a perfect example for it. And they were a couple plays away from getting back to the NFC Championship, taking down Philly, already took out Minnesota. Detroit, already had the choke job with their game. That's crazy. That's crazy that they had that opportunity to do it. But that just kind of tells you, what coaching means. It tells you, I said this when we kind of got this started, that the Rams are just a well-run organization. You're not going to win every year, but they're in the mix every year. Sometimes they're not even expected to do anything. They're still in the mix. Just really, really impressive to see the Rams over the course of the last, I think since they lost the Philly game, they won 5 games in a row. Then they lost a game against Seattle, which they didn't care about because they already locked up the division. Then they beat Minnesota, and then you had this nail-biter against Philly. So Rams lose to the Eagles. Couple of the other games, I think I'll call it a choke job by Jared Goff and the Lions. I know they got a lot of injuries on the defensive side, but what you can't do in the playoffs, and it's very, very obvious, you can't have turnovers. And Jared Goff just tried doing too much against the Commanders. First off, the Lions gave up 45 points. You're not going to win any playoff games giving up 45 points. But it was critical situations. Jared Goff getting an interception. Jared Goff fumbling the ball when they're driving and they're already up 7-0. Key mistake in the I think it was in the first quarter. Jared Goff before the end of the first half throwing a pick and not just, hey, we're down 10, we got to get points. We're going to be within 1 score. Little plays like that. His line overall, he had 3 interceptions and a fumble. I hate to see it. I'm a fan of Jared Goff. I like his story. I like that he was with the Rams, and the Rams were like, you know what? You're just not good enough. We got to go get somebody else. They got Matt Stafford. They won a Super Bowl. But he also turned around a lot of things with the Lions. He's an easy guy to root for. I like his story. I could not help watching the game on Saturday night and saying to myself, yeah, you just can't win a Super Bowl with this guy. And I hated it. I hated saying that because I like the story. I like that the Lions, I think I've never even got to a Super Bowl before. Everything's going to run through Ford Field. Here they are. They're feeling great about themselves. Dan Campbell, kind of an interesting story in himself, how he's turned around that franchise. And they get 45 put up on them against the Commanders. And now it's Jaden Daniels and Magic Johnson's team, the Washington Commanders, who took over. That ownership group took over 2 years ago. And look how quick it changed. Again, I go back to ownership, how important, how key ownership is in sports. And here are the Commanders now. Do I think they're going to win in Philly? No. But the hell do I know? That's a division foe. They play each other in the division. I think they were 1-1 during the season, and one of those games, Jalen Hurts left because of an injury. The other game, the KC over Texas, over the Houston Texans, no surprise there. The storyline really after the game was a lot of people complaining that KC gets every call. All right. Yeah, I didn't like the Patrick Mahomes kind of taking a page out of the NBA flopping. I'm like, don't bring that in the NFL, please. And then last night's game, while the Lakers-Clippers game was going on, was Buffalo and Baltimore. Oh, man. I know Michael was busy because he's actually calling a game, but I know Michael Thompson loves Lamar Jackson, and, he usually roots for Baltimore. When Mark Andrews drops the 2-point conversion play to tie the game and take the game into overtime and give Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson one more shot to go at it against each other. I mean, it was picture perfect. I know NBC was probably sitting there, or I think the game was CBS last night. I think CBS was probably sitting there saying, you can't ask for anything more. This is phenomenal. This is perfect. We're going to get an overtime game between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. Mark Andrews will be known in history for dropping that 2-point conversion. I know, I get it. And you heard Lamar Jackson saying it. He had a fumble that led to a touchdown, eventually led to a touchdown. I know there's a lot of plays that happen in a game. I know what I'm going to remember in that game, and I'm sure every Ravens fan is going to remember that game, and I'm sure every Bills fan is going to remember in that game. Mark Andrews dropped a gimme 2-point conversion to send the game in overtime, and we can get a chance to see it. The moment that happened, I texted Michael Thompson. I'm like, catch the freaking ball. Michael's doing obviously calling the play-by-play, so he's calling the game. He had a break. He saw it. He texted me back and was like, yeah, that guy's going to remember that for a long time. So those were your NFL games. Pretty good games. I thought it was fun. It's probably the best weekend you're going to get in the NFL when you get the 2 games on Saturday, the 2 games on Sunday, NFC, AFC, and you take it from there. All right, let me look at some of your comments, and then we'll start getting into some of this Dodger stuff as well from what has happened over the offseason. All right, let's see what we got here. We get Chiefs, Bills again. Too much. Come on, Buffalo. Chiefs versus Commanders. Mahomes flopping. Yeah, I got to be honest. It's funny. Of all the teams that are, sometimes when you see a franchise just dominate, you start rooting against them. I don't know if I feel that against Mahomes. Now, I'll probably find myself next week rooting for the Bills and rooting for Josh Allen. I think, that guy's been knocking on the door as well. I got no problem trying to see him, win his first Super Bowl. But yeah, the piece of it that I look at most, it's like usually players and teams that have a tremendous amount of success. I was never rooting for the Patriots, maybe because I was the Patriots. I think the Chiefs are a lot more likable. Lions are a cursed franchise. You might be right on that. Lions used 30 different lineups for the defense this year. Too many injuries. I don't disagree. Too many injuries, but guys, your quarterback can't throw 3 picks. I mean, even with all the injuries, they still had the number 1 seed. Even with all the injuries, the defense and the injuries had nothing to do with his 3 picks and his fumble. What you can't have your quarterback be is a negative, a net negative. He was a net negative in the game on Saturday night. So Lions defense sucks. I hate the Philly fan base. Playoff golf reminded me of that Super Bowl with the Rams. Slee, I heard you got kicked out of the arena bathroom last night when doing the post-game show. You're right. I did the post-game from the bathroom because I counted all the urinals, and I reached a point where I'm like, hey, this isn't a terrible background setting. Let's just do it in here. All right, that's my Chiefs D is crazy, though. It's going to be some good games next week. It's going to be some good games. The Commanders in the NFC Championship game. What the hell? All right, let's keep things moving. Dodgers offseason. So, we finished the show on Friday. And right after the show was over, there were reports coming out that the Padres were out. And the Padres were out because you can see the international pool money that all these teams were holding on to. And there was a report out there in The Athletic that the Padres had basically told Roki Sasaki and his camp, we'll spend every dime of our international pool money on you, which I think they could get up to about $10 million. But there was a report out there that the Padres started spending some of that international pool money, which can only mean one thing. They were out on Roki Sasaki. And then, there was conversation going on. Okay, hey, well, you know what? Now it's between Toronto and LA. And if you guys remember, I'm like, if the Padres are out, he's not going to Toronto. And the Dodgers were already heavy favorites, I think, when this whole thing started. But there was also some reports out there like, no, there's some connections here to the Padres. Padres might have a shot as well. I also mentioned that there really is no story around Roki unless he doesn't sign with the Dodgers. That's when I think it's going to be a story. So once the Padres were out, we all kind of just waited. All right, when's the announcement going to come? I was listening to some radio stations out here in San Diego, and they were saying, well, it's not official, and until it's Jeff Passan, this, that. I'm like, guys, if you're spending your international pool money, it's done. Like, stop trying to hold on to hope. It's a done deal. So then it was announced that Roki Sasaki is joining the Dodgers. And there were a lot of articles that came out right after. And I think there's still, supposedly there's some kind of investigation that's going to be going on in regards to, was this all just kind of a ploy? Did they already have a deal done with Roki Sasaki, well before any of these conversations were had? And was this just all kind of like a song and dance to make it look like they didn't have that going on? Which I don't really know all the rules of how that works. But to be honest with you, I don't know. What does it matter? If he was going to sign with the Dodgers, then just come out and say you're going to sign with the Dodgers. I don't really know. I don't really understand fully what this investigation would be. But okay, we'll just leave it alone. Maybe the idea is you can't have conversations with some of these other, teams or whatever the case is. All right, we'll leave it alone, is what it is. That wasn't even the ending story of the Dodgers over the weekend. No. I got a couple texts yesterday. And basically the texts were kind of like, I got a couple like laughing emojis. I got a couple LOLs. And I look at them and I'm like, I don't know what my cousin's talking about, what a buddy of mine is talking about. I'm like, I have no idea what they're talking about. So I look at the text and there's no context to it. I think they just assume that I know what happened. So I go on Twitter and I see Tanner Scott, who the Padres traded for last year from Miami, gave up some good prospects to get him. They knew this was just going to be a rental for their playoff run and do everything they can to try to, win it. They're trying to bolster up that bullpen. Baller, good player, really good player. Left-handed closer for Miami. Wasn't necessarily a closer for the Padres. Tanner Scott signed a 4-year, $72 million deal with the Dodgers. There's a point where you're just like, I don't even really have a reaction anymore. Now, you guys got to understand something. I'm a Dodger hater, so that also is why I wouldn't have any reaction. I'm a Padre fan. So with that well established on the show, but I don't even have a reaction anymore. I'm like, what do you want me to feel? What do you want me to feel? The biggest pitcher this offseason was Blake Snell. He's a Dodger. He's a 2-time Cy Young Award winner. Okay, maybe he wasn't the cream of the, maybe he wasn't the best. Okay, what is he? The second best? I would argue he's the best of all the free agents that were out there. Okay, you put him wherever you want. Where did Blake Snell go? Okay. The biggest bullpen name this offseason is Tanner Scott, or one of the biggest. Where did he go? To the Dodgers. The biggest prospect / phenom coming out of Japan that everybody's been talking about for a year, where did he go? Went to the Dodgers. The Dodgers next year are going to have a rotation that includes Shohei Ohtani, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Tyler Glasnow, Blake Snell, Roki Sasaki, maybe Tony Gonsolin, maybe Clayton Kershaw, maybe Dustin May, maybe Bobby Miller, just some of those guys that have had some injury issues. You know, there's going to certainly be a few of those guys that come. They re-signed Teoscar Hernandez. They re-signed Blake Trinan, Tommy Edman. They already have the most talent of any team out there in baseball. I don't know I don't have a reaction anymore to this. I don't. Now a lot of the articles are starting to churn. And the articles around the Dodgers, I'll give you guys my opinion on this as well. A lot of the conversation around the Dodgers is like, well, what the fuck? Like, how is this? How are you walking into a season where there's one team this far and above beyond everybody else? You know, I don't have a problem per se with what the Dodgers are doing. I think if the Dodgers are able to do it, they're playing within the rules, then you can't really be mad at the Dodgers. I could be upset that they're running circles around everybody. I could be upset that they're playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers, but that doesn't matter. If you're a franchise, let me tell you one of the biggest compliments you can get as a franchise. If everyone hates you, you're doing something right. Everyone hated the Patriots. Everyone did. Why? Because they were winning Super Bowl after Super Bowl, or they were in the Super Bowl every single year. Maybe there's a little bit of that starting to happen with Patrick Mahomes. When they win a playoff game, there's now all these clips of like, hey, look, here's another penalty that should have been called, but it wasn't called. They weren't doing that year one when Mahomes was getting to the Super Bowl. They did that after more and more success. The Yankees was always a franchise everyone loved to hate. Why? Because they were good. Because they were great, because they were winning every single year. The greatest compliment you can get as a franchise and organization is when everyone's talking about you and when everyone hates you. That means you're doing something right. So I don't have per se an issue with what the Dodgers are doing. They're spending their own money. They're obviously have found ways to generate revenue in different ways. Dodger fans are coming out, and you got 50,000+ fans a night over at Dodger Stadium, which is, you know, creating incredible revenue. When Shohei Ohtani decided to come to the Dodgers, it changed the entire business model for the Dodgers. Imagine having FU money. That's what the Dodgers have. They have FU money. But they also have a really smart organization that still pays attention to their farm system. And, you know, for all I know, Freddie Freeman didn't have to choose the Dodgers. The Atlanta Braves could have kept him. The Dodgers got him. The Boston Red Sox may have made one of the dumbest trades I've ever seen in the history of baseball by trading Mookie Betts to the Dodgers. Teoscar Hernandez, well, anyone could have went out there last year and tried to get Teoscar Hernandez. Don't get me wrong. They throw their weight around. They throw their money around. But at the end of the day, what they're doing is within the rules. So what the hell am I supposed to, you know, like what? Getting upset at the Dodgers, I don't think means anything. And I think where that energy needs to go Here's the question, and I don't think Dodger fans will ever answer this fairly. I think most of them won't. I think most of them won't because they're going to say, well, you're just hating. Okay, that's fine. But I think there'll probably be a few Dodger fans that will also say, okay, let's just look at the scope of what's going on here. And I listen, these big market teams have an advantage. There was some quotes here. The Chicago Cubs owner, Tim Ricketts, he says he admits that it's really hard to compete with the splashy spending of the Dodgers, the Mets, and the Yankees. Talking about the big markets, but the Dodgers have taken this to a completely different level. And the Mets, to be honest with you, with Brian Cohen, no. Yeah. Doesn't it? I forget the name of the Mets owner off the top of my head. But I forget his name. Anyways, what I think that the thing to pay, most attention to when you start looking at Major League Baseball, and this is my beef with Major League Baseball, can we in some shape, way, or form create a system where at least everyone's got, sort of equal ground? In the NBA, the Lakers are always going to have their advantages because they're in LA. The New York Knicks, you're going to imagine, have their advantages because they're in New York. But everyone's got a shot. Everyone's kind of playing within the same boundaries and the same rules. The Knicks have competitive advantages because of their market. They have competitive advantages because of the marketing and all that stuff. The Knicks have been shit for years. It came down to ownership. The Dodgers have great ownership. In the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs can go out there and they can win Steve Cohen. That's I just remembered right now, Steve Cohen. The Chiefs can go out there and they can compete for a championship. The Eagles can compete for a championship. You pick in the NFL, the Lions can compete for a champion. That's what you want. You just want, at least when the dust settles, you're just looking for, can we have a system where everyone's kind of playing within the same rules? Baseball does not have those same rules. And this isn't a San Diego problem, or this isn't a, Rockies problem. This isn't and I'm not telling you that more owners can't go out there and spend more money, because I think that's a fair argument to make as well. But I think at the end of the day, I don't think you can have an honest conversation and you could say about Major League Baseball that everyone's got an equal shot. I don't think you can say that. I will tell you the Dodgers are outsmarting a lot of these other franchises. And even if the Dodgers, let's just say there was a salary cap in baseball. Let's just pretend for a second. There's a salary cap in baseball, and every team has, I'm going to just give an even number. Every team's got to spend between 150 and 200. The floor is 150. The ceiling is 200. You know what would happen every year with the Dodgers? They would still be incredibly good, competing every single year, a threat to win the NL West, and a chance at a World Series. I still think they would be. Why? Because they're smart with the money they spend, the farm system that they have. There's a lot of, strengths that the Dodgers, we don't talk enough about with the Dodgers. But does somebody want to tell me, walking into the 2025 season, how you can really look at Major League Baseball and say, you know what? All these teams got a shot. The one thing that the Dodgers are able to do, you're not guaranteed a World Series, but I'll tell you what they're guaranteed to do. They're almost virtually guaranteed the NL West every year. Almost virtually guaranteed the NL West. Every single year they guarantee the NL West, which means you're going to have a bye, which means you don't have to play in the wild card round, which means you're going to have your starters set up for that 5-game set that you have. That's what they can guarantee themselves. Again, I'm not trying to take credit away from the Dodgers. What I'm trying to say is, can we just be honest with each other and just look at the scope of baseball and just say, well, how the hell do you compete with that? Or even some of these other teams that are spending like crazy or whatever the case is. It's not, okay, let's say you have 5 teams spending like crazy. Then how do the other 25 build? Are you going to have teams like the Nationals come out of nowhere? Sure, that can happen. Are you going to have teams like the Arizona Diamondbacks get to the World Series? Sure, absolutely that can happen. But is that what you're hoping for, is just like a Hail Mary for a team? I don't know. That to me is the way I kind of looked at this past weekend. I got almost no energy left. It's almost just comical now what's happening in baseball and what's happening. The Dodgers are taking full advantage within the rules. But from a baseball perspective, don't you want each city walking in saying, hey, if we run a good organization, we got a legit shot to win a World Series? I don't think that's the case. All right, let me look at some of the comments here. By the way, I haven't looked at one comment yet. I haven't looked at one. I'm curious. Will people be reasonable in the chat, or are they just going to say I'm hating? Doesn't matter either way. Let's take a look at it. Mark, if you go watch one of my videos I had on Friday, I was critical of the Padres. I talked about how they didn't have their shit together, that I understand that Roki chose a different team to go to. I talked about how the ownership group from the Padres, once Peter Seidler passed away, this, lawsuit that they got going on, that situation, I was very critical about them. Brother, this isn't a Padres conversation. I'm just having a conversation about basically being, if you're looking at the league, are you saying, is this a fair fight? That's all. I will be more than critical about the Padres. I'll tell you exactly how critical I am. They've never won a World Series before. They've had basically a couple splashes in franchise history. They've been around since 1969. They've had poor ownership. What else? They got some of the worst contracts in all of baseball right now. They do. Xander Bogaerts has to be the worst contract in baseball. I could be very, very critical about the team I root for. I don't have a problem with that. But what I like doing is also having a conversation, especially on this chat, that we can have a conversation of like, okay, hey, does this make sense? Does it not make sense? All that stuff. So, and listen, I don't mind the comments. I don't care. If somebody, the best shit talking, let me tell you the best shit talking is when you win. And the team I root for didn't win. So I have no shit talking. And even if they did win, I probably wouldn't shit talk. That's the Padres and the Dodgers, you face each other in the playoffs 3 of the last 5 years. Padres had an incredible advantage. They might not have that, opportunity again. They're up 2-1. They got a game at home at Petco Park. Being a Padre fan, shit like that doesn't happen very often. And if you don't take advantage of that opportunity, it might go away. All right, let's keep going. All right, let's see what we got here. Slee, how about this? After the Dodgers create the dynasty and win 10 World Series, then we can change the rules to help everyone else. Deal? Because Dodger fans have been second place for a long time. Let me say this about, I'll say this about Dodger fans too. When Padres lost this past year, I was listening to a lot of, sports talk radio. I run another channel, and it's called San Diego Sports Talk. And basically, somebody that I've known for a long time. A lot of Dodger fans actually respect him. His name's John Quintero. He's been in the industry for a long time. And I helped John kind of just try to get a mic again. He was let go from radio, his gig that he had. But a lot of people really respect his baseball opinion. They respect his, he's been in sports talk radio for 35 years, something like that. It's kind of funny. There's a lot of times when he does a show, and I feel like there's a lot of Dodger fans interacting with him because they respect his baseball opinion. So here's what I was going to say. After the Padres lost to the Dodgers, there was a lot of chatter in San Diego. It's like, this was supposed to be our year. And, we had them. And why does this always happen to us? This and that. And I actually, in my head, I was saying to myself, I'm like, have you guys not watched Dodger baseball? Because the Dodgers, since like 2013, have been in the mix every year and have collapsed or failed or had the Astro scandals in 2017 or won a World Series in 2020 and nobody gave them credit for it. Like they've had the game against the Nationals, the series against the Nationals, the series against the Cardinals, the series against the Braves. And I know this because I've been in LA for a long time, right? And a lot of my job that I was doing, yes, I did a lot of Laker coverage, but I eventually had my own show on 710. And then I was doing the show with Travis. So every day we were talking about the Dodgers. I don't think people understood how many times the Dodgers fell flat on their face before everything worked out for them this year. And by the way, if it would have happened again, the story was not going to be about the Dodgers, the golden era of Dodgers baseball. It was going to be, hey, is this the Braves? Is this the Bobby Cox manager years? Is Dave Roberts getting fired? All that stuff. But it went their way, and it hasn't gone their way in a long time. All right, let's keep going here. The thing about baseball is you can't buy a World Series. You're right, you can't, but just think about that advantage that you do have when you can guarantee yourself a playoff spot and pretty much guarantee you that yourself the NL West. I do think that that's a huge advantage, and you're right, anything can happen. When I used to do the show with Travis, right? Him and I were talking. It's funny, actually, him and I were texting each other after the Roki deal. And I'm going to give Trav some credit in this too. Actually, that's why I texted him. I remember Trav like a year ago telling me, he's like, hey, there's this Japanese pitcher. There's another. This was after they signed Yamamoto. He's like, there's another Japanese pitcher that I think the Dodgers are going to get. And it was Roki. Anyways, long story short. You can't buy a World Series. What they can buy themselves is winning the NL West. And that's basically what the Dodgers are now doing. They have bought themselves that. I kind of forget the tangent I was going on. I had a good point. I forgot it. It was a really good point too. Like a lot of people were probably going to be like blown away by the point. Like there was probably going to be a lot of people. If I would have finished that point, there'd have been a lot of people that would have been like calling the family over like, oh my God, you guys got to hear what Al just said. Instead, I forgot it. Sliwa, F baseball, it's basketball season. I'm with you. I don't even care about baseball. That's it. I'm done with baseball. I had no emotion at all. It's crazy. The Dodgers have won 162 World Series in 35 years, and now everybody's hating on the Dodgers. Listen, I'm going to go back to it, what I said in the beginning. This is, I don't want people to take this, the wrong way because, like I said, all the Dodgers are doing is playing within the rules. They're playing within the rules. There's a lot of teams out there that can spend, but they can't do it as good as the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers, when ownership group came out, they probably said, hey, who's the best president of baseball operations? And people are like, it's Andrew Friedman. He's in Tampa Bay. Cool. Go get Andrew Friedman. And then, from there, it was like, okay, well, let him start making most of these decisions because we don't know what the hell we're doing. But they're taking advantage of it. Okay. I think we're almost done here, guys. This is overtime. Dodgers have had the NL West for 11 years. They want rings. Oh, I'm not telling you that their goal is to win the NL West. What I'm telling you is if you win the NL West, which is pretty much guaranteed, if you win the NL West, what happens after that? It means that your path to getting to a World Series is much easier. All right. I appreciate you guys hanging out and hearing my rant there. That's what I like to have here. I want to be able to kind of have these honest conversations. Like kind of kiss everybody's ass. Okay, let's get to the weekend recap here real quick. The only thing that I really want to recap, I thought there was a clip I thought was kind of funny. That from Mick Cronin. You guys know Mick Cronin. That's UCLA's head football coach. I got two things football, and then I'm going to get the hell out of here. We'll let you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Okay, so Mick Cronin is the UCLA basketball coach. Okay. I want you guys to listen to this real quick because I thought it was kind of funny. By the way, real quick, yes, it's Overtime Slee. Real quick, if you guys can do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. We're over 28,000. It's I'm gonna tell you guys a quick story here, and then we get into the weekend recap, and then we're done. Last night I'm at the game. I'm at the Laker game. And I had a couple people come up to me, a couple people that were just random people that were listeners of the show, YouTube, whatever the case is. And then I had a couple people from the media have a quick conversation with me and make this really brief, but it kind of talks about the channel and what we're doing here. A couple people were like, "Hey, Slee, man, love the show, love what you're doing." Or they'll say something like, "Hey, I really respect that you decided that you're going to do your own thing." And yeah, when I hear something like that, I'm just like, I'm going to go live right now. I'm just freaking ready to go back to work. So all that stuff means a lot to me. The subscribers that we have on here to help just kind of grow the channel, all that stuff is just fuel. So thank you. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate you guys doing that. Okay, let's get real quick. I want you guys to listen to this. I know this is out of left field. I know we're not talking, football on we're not talking college basketball on a continuous basis, but just listen to this real quick. This is Mick Cronin, UCLA now, obviously a part of the Big Ten. Take a quick listen here to one of the questions and his response.
Made about you guys going east. You just came back from a prolonged East Coast trip. I'm wondering, have you seen anything from the teams that have to come out here and stay out here? Is there any kind of balance with that in terms of the wear and tear and just what you've seen?
Mick Cronin was complaining a week ago that it's absurd that they have to go to the East Coast to play games. So that's what the question is. So here's somebody asking a question of, well, Big Ten schools got to come face you and USC. Take a listen.
On the
Wear and
court?
tear on them?
Yeah.
Is that a joke? Please tell me that's a joke.
Is it even comparable is essentially what I'm trying to say.
Have you ever looked at the NBA stats and what the gamblers and all those people do on West versus East? Talk to Eric Musselman, ask him that question, who coached in the NBA. Good luck, West going East. Okay, and ask me UCLA's record east of the Mississippi in the last 20 years. Because when I got the job, I looked it up for scheduling purposes. It's under 500, okay? We have to go back 4 times. Oh, the Big Ten teams get to come to Los Angeles where it's 70 degrees one time a year. They don't even have to switch hotels. We're 12 miles apart. Are you kidding me? Please tell me you're kidding me. Is this a plan? Is this a planted question? I mean, you cannot be serious with that. And meanwhile, we've seen the Eiffel Tower, or we've seen the Statue of Liberty twice in the last 3 weeks while we were landing. We also saw downtown. We also saw the Capitol building. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, you can't possibly. And we still got to go back, and then we got to go back for the Big Ten tournament. You can't possibly be serious.
All right, I'm going to stop right there, okay? Here's why I want to play this. I was a big fan of, and listen, I know those days are over, so it is what it is, but I was a big fan of the Pac-12. I like the Pac-12. I did. Maybe some people liked it, maybe some people didn't, but I was a fan of the Pac-12. And here's UCLA, the coach of the head of the basketball program, basically saying, this is absolute shit that we're in the Big Ten and it's bullshit. And this is a UCLA program, obviously a proud program, one of the most prestigious college basketball programs out there. And he's basically saying, yeah, we can't do this. This is absurd that this is the case. I wish the Pac-12 remained. I've talked about how for football, it was pretty cool to see what happened in the Big Ten this year. The problem is USC and UCLA, I don't know if they really realized what they were getting themselves into. I know it was a money grab. I know it was but by the way, UCLA had no say in this. USC decided the Pac-12's over. We are joining because we're going to make so much damn money. We're going to join the Big Ten. I don't know if they truly, really realized their situation. I don't know if they truly, really realized that they were now playing with schools that this is all they care about is college football. I don't know if they realize that how much of a competitive disadvantage they've almost put themselves in. You got to go now play games in December, in November, in Nebraska, against Minnesota, against Michigan, against Ohio State, against Penn State. USC is not a lock in any game in the Big Ten. They had issues all year long in the Big Ten, and this was the first year that they had it. But then this is also the problem that you have for programs like the basketball program, which is one of the more prestigious programs out there. UCLA's got to travel to Rutgers. They got to travel to, all the schools that we're talking about. I just thought it was very ironic that the school and the two schools that left first, who basically said the Pac-12 is now officially dead, a 100-plus year program. I get it. This is a new world we're in. You know, you have to survive, and maybe this was the only way for survival, but damn, greed is also something that you got to be careful for. And don't tell me that USC, specifically USC, was not looking at greed in order to make their decision. Okay, last thing I'm going to get into, Ohio State, Notre Dame coming up later tonight, ESPN game. I'm going for the underdogs. I'm going for Notre Dame. It's funny, Ohio State's ranked 8th in the college football playoff. But they're, I think, 9-point. They were 9-point favorites at some point. I don't know if they're still 9-point favorites, but I know they're big-time favorites. Is this the longest show we've ever done? Profits over people. This might be the longest show that we've ever done. All right, let's look at a couple more here. It's indoors. I don't mean that they're playing outdoor. I mean more that I think more that the travel, right? Like you're traveling all the way out there. Think about what the Pac-12 travel was before. What was the furthest they went? Utah, Colorado? Yeah, that's Washington, Oregon. You know, everything was, you're just basically going within a few hundred miles, and now they're traveling all the way across the country. Every NBA player endures wear and tear. True. That part is true. I almost went $1.30, guys. I would try to go for $1.30, but I mean, what the hell are we going to talk about the last 4 minutes? You guys, let's go to 130. Throw me some questions. You guys got any questions? Any questions you want to throw my way? Thoughts? Anything about the channel? Feel free to throw it my way. We're going to 130, whether I like it or not. I want to say today, I went $1.50. I want to say this is the longest show that we've done so far, that we went $1.50. Notre Dame 35-14. How about this? I went to when I went to the Rose Bowl game, I was really excited about going to the Rose Bowl game. Tickets were not cheap. Not cheap. 2 tickets, Rose Bowl game. You know what? I'm going. Ohio State, Oregon. I've been feeding this, like, I think I told you guys during the year, I'm like, I want to go to a big-time college football game. Okay, well, I had one 5 miles away from where I am right now in Pasadena. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go. Halftime, what was it? 34-0, 34-7, whatever the hell it was. What a waste of money. I asked the Rose Bowl if I can get my money back. Nothing. All right, let's see what else we got here. Membership tiers. It's a great question. So my goal is to have memberships by the end of the month. By February 1st, I want to have my membership set. And my thought is having just one tier, a very, very reasonable one tier, and just kind of call it a day on that. Maybe that changes over time, but that's my thought right now. Yeah, I'm very curious about memberships. I have no idea, if that's going to be something that people love supporting and they want to support, or if it's not. So, but I got to do it and then just kind of find out from there. So I think I'm just going to have one tier. I got a couple people helping me now. I got a little bit of more help to the channel. So there's a lot of new stuff that I'm learning. Got somebody else now helping me with my thumbnails, which has been great, at least for my clips. There's other things that I got to do too. So working on a few different things. Let's see what else we got here. Slee, after you finish up work today, what plans do you have for the rest of the day? It's a great question. Take the dog to a park, go get him tired out. And I think I'm having dinner with my girl later tonight as well. So that's going to be the plan. Now, can we go somewhere where I still get to see Notre Dame and Ohio State? It's part of the negotiation. You got to walk into these. You got to have a negotiation ready to go. I got to kind of have, I have to have kind of like a sheet of paper that's ready to go. Hey, maybe tonight we splurge. You go 2 appetizers. You want 2 appetizers? You go 2 apps. We get Ohio State, Oregon. You see what I'm saying here? There's a give and take that comes. Maybe she says 2 apps isn't enough. Maybe she gets her own entree. We're not sharing an entree. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. Now we're going. Now we're going past 1:30. Is Sasha coming on the show? Not looking good, guys. Okay, let me ask you guys this. I haven't reached out to Sasha in like 2 years. Do I throw Sasha a quick text? Sasha, hope you're doing good. Checking in. Hope everything's all right. Hey, started my own podcast. Would you like to come on? Do I do that? Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll throw one of those at Sasha. All right, let's get another one here. Slee, where can I get Middle Eastern coffee in LA? You can get everything Middle Eastern in Glendale. There's other places too, Burbank, La Cañada, I think has some spots too. But anything you want Middle East, Pasadena's got great Middle Eastern food as well. There's good Middle Eastern restaurants here. But anything you really want Middle Eastern, go to Glendale. Simple as that. Glendale is the equivalent of what El Cajon is in San Diego. El Cajon, I'm basically in the Middle East. I might as well just be in the Middle East. That's Glendale. We hit $130. Are we done? Sasha going to reply, new phone, who dis? You might be right on that. That's a good way. Sasha promotes his wine. I like that. All right, that's a good angle right there. All right, that's a good angle. All right, I'll do that. My people, thank you for hanging out for the longest show we've done on YouTube so far. To date, $130 is the longest that we've gone. I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. I'm back on tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Who do the Lakers have tomorrow? Is it Washington? Is tomorrow the Washington game? Oh, God, I got to watch that. Lakers got Washington tomorrow. So we'll take it from there. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Please subscribe to the channel. And thank you very much for being a part of the show. And I'll be back tomorrow morning. Thank you for being a part of it. And we'll get with you guys back tomorrow. Thank you, everybody.